It takes more than trying to turn your brain off and on again by going for a walk. To be a great software engineer, this is episode 412 of the Soft Skills Engineering Podcast, where I am your host, Jamison Dance.
I'm your host, Dave Smith.
Soft Skills Engineering is your weekly advice show about all the non-technical things that go into the technical field of software development, like strolling, like ambulating.
What did you say?
On the promenade. Ambulating. Isn't that an old-timey word for walking?
Oh, wow. Yes, it is. I just Googled it.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Thank you. I have to make up for all the times I pronounce commonly known words incorrectly by every once in a while dropping a less commonly known word.
Pronounced well.
Yes.
Nicely done.
Well, as far as you know.
Yeah, and maybe it could be, I mean, I pronounced that word walking.
The treadmill desk just doesn't hit the same as going for a walk outside when you're like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't know what to do and I get on my treadmill desk, a lot of times what to do turns into like, I know, I'll check Twitter. Let's see if they help me know what to do.
I still remember the very first time I had this phenomenon. And honestly, I should be more impacted by this and change my behavior more to take advantage of these kinds of inspirational moments. But I remember I was pounding my head against the desk on a programming problem. This is like 20 years ago. And I just could not figure out what to do. And I just eventually decided to give up and walk home. I was in college at the time, so I packed up my stuff and I just walked home. And I was literally 5 minutes out the door when the answers just started flowing into my mind. Like, here's what to do, here's what to do. I was like, oh my gosh. And by the time I got to my apartment, I'm like, I know exactly what to do. I know how to solve this problem. And I had been like an hour or two, just completely no progress. And I just thought, if only I had thought to ambulate more.
Yes. I feel the exact same way, and yet I have not taken a walk outside to think about a problem in quite a while.
Why don't we do
you know
this?
What? I'm going to do it after this show.
Sounds great.
I vow to take a walk and think hard about problems. Dave, do you want to thank our patrons?
Yes, I do. Here we go. Big thank you to everyone who's contributing at the level where they get a weekly shout out. They are Chewy, Ted Timbrell, testing is documenting, but my coworkers don't test. Dave Smith, will you marry me? BecomeASeniorEngineer.com, unsalted french fries are morally objectionable. Dan from Drone Deploy, Chase W. Norton, level up your TypeScript with typehero.dev. Never is not just a creator on Mars. I like chicken, I like Meow Mix. Wait. No, I like chicken, I like liver. Meow Mix, please deliver. Trash Panda, TheComputerScienceBook.com, Kyle Boss, Kent C. Dodds, Jenny Kim, Owen Shartle, Craig Motland, The Stochastic Parrot, Helicone.ai, best observability tool for AI, Patreon.com, we're hiring, Ira Chand, question mark, Jonathan King, Zanai, beautiful functional user documentation, WilliamAngel.net, /book, and the word / is spelled out, so you know he meant it, Ragnar, Travis, Braden Keynes, John Grant, Too Young to Feel This Old. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions, and I just hope one day we have so many Patreon supporters that it takes us our full 30-minute episode to just read the names. I think that would be
That's what the people want.
That's why you're here every week, is to listen to these names.
Get this stupid basketball game off my TV. I want to see more ads, baby.
Oh, all right. This episode.
Quit it with these outrageous feats of athleticism and show me about Buffalo Wild Wings.
Whew, okay. This episode was sponsored by Datadog, which is the best way to monitor your technology stack. More about Datadog later. Pay attention for your chance to win a free t-shirt. I guess it's not even winning. You just literally get it if you do the steps we tell you to do.
Yeah, this is like the millennial trophy style of winning, where everyone can be a winner.
Everyone can. And trust me, once you put this t-shirt on, you're going to feel like a winner. I got mine in the mail this week, and it's really cool. It says Datadog, and it's
very
got a
soft.
Very cute dog.
It's so soft.
Yeah.
I love it I hate it when you get those like sandpapery, like camel hair type shirts. Like you must pay a penance. That's why you're wearing this shirt.
It's for the last time you took down prod.
Yeah. Yeah, you have the camel hair shirt of shame.
Until the next person takes down prod. Then you'll hand it over.
Yes.
All
right. Should I read our first question?
Yes, please go for it.
This is from an anonymous listener who says, Dear Skillet HQ.
I love it.
I like that.
I love that.
How would you negotiate a difference in work-life balance between teams? I love my job and my immediate team. We're a tech group within a larger non-tech business, and it's a fun problem domain. Our immediate team has some hard-won work-life balance, in part because it would be hard to hire anyone for the role if the balance wasn't part of the equation. However, I worry about how to communicate differences when anyone we work with, all the people we're building software for, have an unbalanced schedule because jazz hands emojis, that's show-biz. I wonder if it's literally show-biz or if it's just an expression. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I even understand why other people have their role set up that way and respect it, but I don't want to give up my work-life balance either. How can I best handle the relationship when that difference is there? I love the podcast and the Skillet Slack. Thanks for the advice, empathy, and good humor. Oh, it's not an anonymous listener. They just put a name at the end. Tex Arcana.
Oh, that's
spelled differently.
First name Tex, last name Arcana.
But not like the Texarkana, the place, T-E-X, and then Arcana like the vaguely magical word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Archana.
Yeah. Like if you were playing a video game and you got a drop that said this word, you'd be excited.
Yeah.
It'd be rare. Huh.
So this team has a special carved out work-life balance that the rest of the company does not enjoy. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so, yeah. And so, how to communicate the difference when anyone we work for have an unbalanced schedule. So I wonder if this comes across as they're kind of making requests to this team and are like, and you'll have it done tonight at midnight, right? Because that's just how I work. Like, I wonder what are they trying to establish boundaries so people know when to expect things? That feels like the biggest potential immediate issue. Like I'm imagining it's probably not like they just feel bad that they have a cushy gig and everyone else is at work while they go home. It's got to be like, how do we communicate working hours and timelines and stuff?
So is that the idea, you think? Is it? I think I read into this question something that wasn't there, which was I'm thinking about changing teams, but I want to negotiate for my work-life balance on the new team. But I guess that's not really it. It's more like saying, hey, everyone else here works till 8 p.m., but you guys are off at 5 p.m. How do I explain I can't respond to your email between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. because, unlike you, I'm not required to work?
Yeah. I wonder if, the real-timey stuff is trickier than the, like, and it'll be done by midnight thing, right? Because that thing you can just say, oh, no, like, it won't be.
It needs more time.
Yeah, it needs more time for me to sleep. You can talk about, you can expose expectations of timelines more easily than you can say, hey, I'm like at a barbecue right now, so I'm not going to respond to your stupid Slack message.
Also, you're invited.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't come? Why not? Oh, you're required to work? Shoot.
You can kind of lean into, if you're at a non-tech company, you're a part of a tech team, you already have this cultural difference. You can make that a vast chasm. You can just like wear a lot of robes and have a lot of rituals and ceremonies and stuff.
Just reinforce the differences. No.
Yeah.
Listen, you could have my work-life balance too, but then you would have to wear these robes.
Yeah. No, the tech priesthood of sacred machine adepts does not, like, why would we work your normal human hours?
Right.
That prevents us from communing with the machines in our off time.
That's right. I'm busy. What do you think I'm doing? I'm not over here at barbecues. No. I'm over here technomancing.
Are you familiar with Warhammer 40K?
No. The name rings a bell, but I don't know what it is.
It's like the dumbest, coolest thing in the world. I don't know. It's this hobby of war games set many years in this sci-fi future, but part of the setting is humanity has like kind of fallen a bit from technology, and they have all this leftover ancient tech, and this like religious order has sprung up around it because they don't really understand it. So they like say prayers to the machine god to bless their tanks to work and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I'm imagining here. You're like the shadowy order that, no one else understands it even as much as you do. So you get to put a lot of ritual and ceremony around it.
Yeah, this sounds wonderful. I think the only limit here is your creativity.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I know big corporations tend to do is they will explain, without actually explaining, they will state that, no, this work-life balance arrangement that we have is actually better for you. And this is like when a bank takes a holiday, and then when they announce the holiday, it's
so
like,
we can serve you better.
Yes. Just to better serve our customers, we are observing the following 17 bank holidays per year. And that's what's happening here.
In order to maintain a cheery disposition, we are going home at 10 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
We will be open from 8 to 10 a.m.
They would never explain. I mean, cheery disposition would be a bridge too far. They would never actually explain how this better serves the customers. True. They would just state unequivocally, look, we're going to make this really easy for you to understand. It's better for you if we don't work.
In order to better serve you, I will not be responding to email or Slack outside of these hours.
Yes, outside of these highly constrained hours that you don't get the privilege of having. Well, I actually had an experience kind of like this when I worked for a mega tech co. We had coworkers in California, but we were living in Massachusetts. And in California, for whatever reason that I don't understand, they had like twice as many company holidays as we did. We lived in the same country, but you wouldn't really know it because it was like this company. Well, you wouldn't know it if you looked at the holiday schedule. Let's put it that way. This company I worked for had a bit of a reputation for being, let's just say, not the most generous when it comes to holidays. You know, there were a lot of holidays we did not observe, but California did. Boy, did they! And we would. This probably happened every month where it'd be like, "Hey, can you meet this day?" And they're like, "Well, no, that's a holiday." And we were like, "Oh." Well, enjoy your perfect weather every day of the year and your extra holidays. And we all know you make more than us because there's also a pay differential over there. What are we doing?
You have to try and scramble to find something like, well, at least we get to experience the variety of seasons.
Yeah.
Snow is cool, I think.
Yeah, it was like 3 feet of snow.
We're
in
like,
Boston.
no, we can just drive to Northern California and we can go skiing there.
Yes. And in the same day, we can go to the beach.
Dang it.
Once again.
I have lake beaches. Those are better.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so I don't know how we dealt with this. The California people made no attempt to reconcile the differences. They just kind of stated it like it was the weather. It's like, what are you going to do?
I think that's probably something to it, though. I think if there is something to that, I think if you're apologetic about it, you're kind of acknowledging it is wrong or is an inconvenience in some way. And if you just say, hey, good news, we have such great work-life balance that we do excellent work and we're going to stick around forever. And like, I don't know, it's good to serve you better. Like,
yeah. Like I already told you it's to serve you better.
Hours.
Do you not want to be served better? Hey, this guy doesn't want to be served better.
You could do it with like, I don't know, some teams have like docs for how to work with their team, or you could put a really annoying like automatic responder bot in.
Ooh.
If anyone ever messages you at 5:01 p.m., it's like, hey, they'll get to this in 16 hours.
Yeah. When I'm done with my barbecue and technomancy.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
I think so. Yeah. I think it is the right word.
Perfect.
I mean, some of it is probably the reality of the different careers have different labor demands and expectations, and we're still riding high on the momentum of tech being like super frothy for engineers. So the reality is probably that on average, especially if you're in show business, I don't know if that's true, if that's literal or not.
I think it's not literal, but let's go with it as if it were, because that would be funner. Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be able to hire people if they have to work like showbiz intern hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of it is just you get what the rarity of your labor allots you to some extent.
Yeah, that is true.
You could tell them sorry that you didn't pick a better career whenever you tell them you're not going to respond.
That goes over really well, I'm sure.
Hey, I know being an associate junior producer was your dream, but them's the breaks. You get your name in the credits and I don't.
Yeah.
So think about that. tomorrow morning at 2 a.m.
That's when the other coworker puts an elbow in your side and says, actually, we also get our name in the credits. And we work half as much.
I understand why they have it set up. How do I handle the relationship? Yeah, I think you just have to be open about it and direct and straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, don't
be a jerk about it. Don't do all the stuff that we just joked about rubbing it in their face. Don't do that.
I think when it comes to differences like this, where you've got two people, and I mean, there is a word we could use to describe this situation, which is one of these people is privileged. They've got an extra thing that the other party doesn't have. And one way to reconcile that is to remove the privilege so that both people can be miserable equally. And I think that that's not great. The other thing that you can do is just state it, hope the other person is understanding, and move on. Because at the end of the day, you can't really control how people feel about it. You can probably influence them a little bit. And I think there's certainly a groveling that you could do to make the situation worse on the other side. Like you could, on the one hand, you could brag about it and rub it in their face. Don't recommend. On the other hand, you could grovel about it and apologize and woe is me. I'm so sorry. I have all this amazing work-life balance. I also don't recommend. I think just stating it like the weather, like, hey, we're just, on this team, the hours we work, and it's a little different than other people in the company. And then over time, you could hope that the company eventually grants the same level of awesome work-life balance to everyone else. I think that'd be a pretty cool outcome. Not likely, but would be kind of cool.
Maybe one other thing you could do is provide some escape hatch. And this is tricky because you are kind of opening the door to encroaching upon your work-life balance. But it's possible that there could be real emergencies. Maybe you have to have some way to say, like, and if it absolutely cannot wait, here's like our pager duty rotation, or whatever. Here's how to get a hold of us after hours. But we're not just going to be around. Like, if it's on fire, we will come put out the fire.
Yeah. I think that's a really good olive branch to say, look, we understand that the rest of the company doesn't necessarily follow the same rhythms that we follow. And so we want to make ourselves available for extenuating circumstances when those two schedules come into conflict. So please page me every time it's a holiday that I have that you don't have.
Just so I know.
Yeah, I just want to be aware.
All right. Have we answered the question?
I think so. Good luck. It's never fun to be on either side of this divide, but at least you have your comfortable robes that you can sit in.
Yes, they're so soft.
Hey, Jamison, have you ever worked on a SaaS project with no observability tools?
Yes, right now. It's about as fun as digging a hole with your shoe.
This is where Datadog comes in. You add a few lines into your code and boom, you've got observability. You get error monitoring, performance monitoring, traces, dashboards, logs.
It's really helpful to see all the information without a ton of effort too. It makes it so much faster to debug problems. I get lost. You're kind of like hypothesizing about what's going on without something like this.
Yeah.
And you get to see the exact stuff that's happening.
Exactly. Datadog lets you see where you are overspending on your hosting bill too. So you can be the hero that in this climate, you can save the company money on your AWS, Azure, or GCP bills, and your CFO will give you hugs.
Datadog is integrated with over 700 tools and has out-of-the-box dashboards to start monitoring services like AWS, pager systems, and even password managers in minutes.
You can get a 2-week free trial with Datadog at datadoghq.com/softskills. And if you add Datadog to your code and set up a dashboard, you can get a free Datadog t-shirt shipped to you. And trust me, it's really cute.
Are you offering to send like model shots to prove how cute it is, Dave?
My face ruins the shirt, but it has a cute dog on it.
That's datadoghq.com/softskills. You can go add Datadog to your software today and get this great shirt with an adorable dog. Okay, do you want to read our next question, Dave?
Yes, I do. This comes from a listener named Frustrated. My work keeps being stolen in the name of code quality. I'm a new back-end developer for a team at a large company. I've been with this team for about 3 months and the company for over a year. We're developing an application to replace a legacy system, and the current feature has fairly well-described user requirements. The front-end developers keep finding new implementation issues that require more back-end development, so new tasks get added during the sprint. The longest tenured developer, we'll call them LTD, on the team keeps finding better ways to implement these backend changes, but these, quote, better ways sometimes don't meet the newly discovered front-end needs, leading to longer development times. Additionally, the longest tenured developer often takes over the implementation work from me, which is frustrating. The longest tenured developer also sometimes becomes too busy to deliver everything in a timely manner. Additionally, the state of software development maturity is very low, so I'm trying to advocate for more technical process improvements like CI/CD and using version control more than once per sprint. Oh, it's merge day. Everyone bring your conflicts.
It's controlled. It's controlled. Yeah, it's version control day. Yeah.
Okay, continuing. I am frustrated and finding it hard to keep up motivation when everything is such a mess, and the other devs defer to the longest tenured dev who pushes back on many of these things. My code quality is fine, but I haven't yet learned enough about our application to be able to identify these larger, cleaner approaches. Every code review so far has had no issues with my code quality, but inspires the longest tenured dev to implement a simpler solution, and they often will take my tickets and repurpose them for the new work. I'm worried that if anyone looks at my productivity metrics, they'll not look good, and it's hard to say what I've accomplished so far. Is my frustration valid? Should I quit my job?
Of course it's valid. You're always valid. Your feelings are always valid.
Your feelings are always correct. They accurately describe
that's what
the
I
world.
tell my children.
Yes, when they're throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
Your feelings
are right and true and good.
I should let you insert terrible idea that every kid asks for.
Yeah. You're right. It was wrong of me to make you French toast after you asked me to make you French toast. This is the appropriate reaction.
Your feelings are valid. Your tantrum is valid. The volume of your screams is valid.
And you know what? That's how I decide whether to listen to you or not. It's how hard you scream.
Yeah.
So it worked.
The louder you scream, the more I jump and help. And the
terrible... that's what I'm doing on accident sometimes. Oh, no.
The terrible patterns that I'm reinforcing are also valid and self-created. Oh, it's so true, though. Sometimes...
This sucks.
It sounds like this developer's not actually doing anything now because all the work they do gets co-opted and re-implemented in a different way. And it's like, what do you have to show for yourself after a year? That is very frustrating. Your frustration is valid.
Yeah.
Objectively valid.
I would be frustrated. I'm sure the longest tenured developer is frustrated too. This feels like behavior born out of frustration. What I think is going on here is maybe the longest tenured developer feels like they have a really strong sense of correctness. Like, I feel like there's a right way to do things, and it just so happens to be the way that I think it should be done all the time. Sometimes things happen that are wrong or not the way I would have done them. And they, instead of communicating with you and the team to try to create a shared understanding of what the right way is and what matters, their approach is like, well, I'll fix it. And that sucks. That is not great senior engineer behavior. Yeah.
Sometimes as a longest tenured developer, you start out in a circumstance where it's only you. No one else is there to back you up. There's no one to coordinate with. So all problems are your problem. Then a team grows up around you, and you don't adapt your behavior to the fact that there are now more people who, frankly, their intellect can serve the team and serve you, but you're not fully leveraging them because you're just doing the same patterns that you did before you had them around you. And so I don't even ascribe malice to this person. I just think they maybe haven't adapted their patterns to the team that has sprung up around them, and they're just still rolling. And these behaviors a few years ago probably earned them lots of accolades and praise.
Oh, yeah. They know the right way to do stuff. Yeah, they can get it done.
Highly productive. And now these same behaviors are actually harmful. and slowing everyone down and leading to frustration. And you've literally caused someone to consider quitting their job. So
you being the longest tenured developer, not the question asker, right?
Suddenly I'm speaking directly to the longest tenured developer, right to you.
Well, we're assuming that the frustrated listener will just tell them everything we say, right?
Here, listen to this episode. I'm going to send you a link.
Bring them over. Sit them down. Let's have a fireside chat.
So that's just me pontificating on how we got here.
I've also seen this when there's turnover on a team and there's like established conventions, but maybe the longest tenured developer is the only one that has them in their brain.
Uh-huh.
And everyone else doesn't. And so there's like in their mind a very strong set of rules for the way things are done here that the team does not share because they're new to the team. They don't have the same context.
They just don't know.
And yeah, they don't know. And maybe they wouldn't object to them if they knew. Maybe some of them you might argue about and change. But just like, I know we don't do it that way is not a scalable approach. And in the absence of getting the longest tenured developer to sit down and think about what they've done and change their ways, I think you have to pull some of this out of them. Yeah, I feel passionately about this topic. I feel like there is a point of diminishing returns over consistency and like the approval of, especially when it's the approval of one person.
Mm-hmm.
If the team has a strong shared set of practices and conventions, awesome. But I feel like it's easy to get into a place where you have to tailor your code to who you think is going to review it because you know, okay, this person cares a lot about this stupid pattern.
Yeah.
All right, I know they're gonna call me out on naming things without reverse Polish notation.
Yes.
I hate that. That's a problem.
Yes.
So I think part of what you can do is put it back on the longest tenured developer. If you want to do things in an efficient way, in kind of the air quotes correct way, say, hey, why don't you tell us this stuff ahead of time so that we can save time and you don't have to be like going back and re-implementing our work. Why don't we do some kind of training or review of practices or patterns or whatever so that we can do it right the first time?
So you're saying couch it in the terms of efficiency, where you're saying, hey, I'll bet you it's frustrating for you to have to re-implement all this work. What if we could get some of your brain content into ours so that you don't have to do that?
Yeah. And that's easy to do as a peer because it's kind of flattering and it feels nice to be seen as the expert or the person teaching other people. The tricky part is going to be when you disagree with some of the stuff. And that's harder to do as a peer, to say, hey, that thing you think is a requirement that it must be done this way, we should not do that. And you should not care about it. And stop.
You should stop caring about this thing you deeply care about.
Yeah, that one is a lot harder. And that requires a lot more team consensus or a manager pushing down and saying, we do not give feedback on thing X in code reviews or whatever.
Sometimes that kind of discussion where you can actually have a productive decision made on whether we should abandon a practice or adopt a new one is the kind of thing you have to do later in a relationships development. Because here, I'm thinking you should focus on efficiency and trust building. And the way that I would do that is by, I love your idea, James, like the idea of sitting down and having that conversation where you focus on efficiency and team flow and avoiding rework. I like that idea because I think you could actually build a consensus on it. And like you said, like it's flattering to the longest tenured developer as well. I like that a lot. Then over time, as you implement these patterns, now you'll actually have some credibility with which you can say, hey, I've implemented this pattern 7 times, and of those 7 times, 5 of them have turned into this other problem. I'd like to move that we reconsider this pattern, and I've got some ideas for how to do it. And then you can stand on a little bit firmer ground that's built on both trust, and you actually have some experience that will carry weight when you make that argument.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm saying just go with the flow and do exactly what they say until they trust you to say something else.
That is part of the downside, is you do kind of have to like subordinate yourself to them. If they're very opinionated and if they're willing to just like grab your work and redo it, it feels like they're probably pretty opinionated and are going to be more than happy to say like, good, I will train you in the ways of doing it like I would have done it. And the bad news is you cannot fully mind meld with someone to do everything forever the way they would have done it. So it does require some flexibility on the other person's part to say, I know when to call it quits. Like I know when to say it's not how I would have done it, and I'm going to do nothing about it.
Yeah, and I think a more aware team member would have actually sat down with the team at this point and said, hey, all, let's combine our minds and identify some opportunities for improvement here. But they just aren't doing that. And apparently your manager's not doing that either, which, there's a little bit of dysfunction. And so the breach that you see, or the gap between what you expect and what's actually happening here, is caused by those deficiencies.
People problems, man. Way harder than code problems.
They're the easiest.
People problems?
Yeah, you just tell them to get solved and they do. It's so nice.
All people problems are easy if Dave is the people.
Hey, Dave, I don't like how you're doing this. Okay, let's change it. All right, done. That is kind of how I roll. I'm like, oh, really? Let's talk about it. Oh, cool. Yeah, great idea. Let's try that for a week and see if it improves things. Okay, next. Of course, on my teams, there are no problems. That's the good part, is you don't ever have to do that because there aren't any problems at all.
Yeah. I mean, there was that one problem, but you got rid of that problem by just screaming at the top of your lungs at the person who brought it up. And then ever since then, no problems. Problem solved. The meta problem is these people are whiners, and I solved that one right away with some stern rebukes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is a tricky situation. It's a tricky dynamic to navigate, to come into a place of expertise and pick up the expertise and figure out which of it you agree with and which of it you don't. And you're there to add new things, and so there is a little bit of ego in here of like,
yeah.
Well, what am I just an automaton? Is my job to just like do the thing that this person would have done if they were at the keyboard? And
yes, we just wanted to multiply this person as many times as possible. Just figure out what they do and do that.
Yeah.
And actually, there is a little bit of truth to that. Like it's like, I guess automaton nature is on a spectrum. And we don't want full automaton, but we also don't want full independent thinking on everything. Because that can also be inefficient in its own way.
Yeah, I guess, you don't want to throw away everything every time a new person joins the team, but it's part of the growing pains. And the good news is the longest tenured developer will only have to get better at this.
True.
As they stick around. Like there will be more new people. Things will drift more. And unless they're just holding on with an iron fist, well, even then, it won't work. People will quit. The team will not succeed if the longest tenured developer's attitude is, I will just write all the code if it doesn't exactly fit how I would have done it.
At the very best, it will turn into a highly inefficient system where you've increased the team, say, by a factor of 10, but you've increased the output by a factor of 0.9.
Yeah. So you're helping them.
Congrats.
All right, have we answered the question?
I think so. Good luck.
What can people do if they want their own questions answered?
Go over to softskills.audio and click the Ask a Question button. We really appreciate everyone that does that. We love your questions. We read them. We enjoy them. We laugh. We cry. Sometimes we just commiserate. But we always love them. Thank you. Please keep those coming.
We appreciate it so much. Thank you. We will catch you next week.